All right, let's see. So we're here talking about Lil Durk. I have his complaint here. We're going to take a look at that, and we're going to listen to some of what Drake lawyer said about him, and it's not good. So copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by the copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. This video was made for entertainment purposes and is transformative in nature. All right. Man, there's so many cases, man. I tell you, man, is it over for Lil Durk, man? I should have put a question mark. Anytime one of your best homies is in the interrogation room and they gave him food, it's not good. It's not good. And they said they gave him a wire. Oh my God, man. Like, how is he going to beat that, man? How is he going to beat it? Hold on, let me just do this real quick. What's up with this? Oh, come on. It won't let me see the chat. Hold on one second. Oh, I get what's going on. Hold on one second. I get it now. I get it. Let me just do this real quick. But yeah, man, it's not looking good for Durk, man. It really isn't. Let's see. It's not looking good, man. Like I said, I got the complaint here. We're going to take a look at that and see what it do, man. See what it do. Let me see. Let's do it like this, right? Okay. Durk. Let's see. Classic. Okay. All right. And then just setting everything up. My bad. Now this should work. There we go. Yeah, man, Durk, man. Looking at this complaint is something else. It's 11 documents in this complaint. So let's get to the complaint first. I think that's what I'll do. I think I'll just, can't really see it, but this is the best I could do. I mean, I could make it a little bigger with my screen. Let me see. Let me make it a little bigger. And then just kind of do it like that. Yeah. Okay, so here we are, man. United States of America versus Durk Banks, a.k.a. Little Durk, a.k.a. Mustafa Abdul Malik, defendant. Where are the defendants, though? You know, but this is just Durk right now. But, all right. I, the complainant in this case, state that the following is true to the best of my knowledge and belief, beginning on an unknown date, but no later than or about August 18, 2022, and continuing until at least August 19, 2022, in the county of Los Angeles in the Central District of California, the defendant violated Code Section 18 U.S.C. 1958A. Offense description: conspiracy to use interstate facilities to commit murder for hire, resulting in death. Ooh, that's heavy. That's heavy. Y'all see that? It's heavy, man. Now, where is my... Okay, here we go. There's... wait a minute. This is heavy. What's up, y'all? How's everybody doing? What's up, Will? What's up, Rosalind? How you doing? Billy Darling, how's it going? This is heavy, man. Oh, man. So I'm just pulling paperwork like nobody's business. So the criminal complaint is based on these facts. Please see the attached affidavit. Oh, boy. Please see the attached affidavit, man. It's signed and all this, attested by the applicant. Okay. This is just all what they do. I, Sarah Cochran, believe duly sworn, declare and state as follows. Purpose of affidavit. This affidavit is made in support of a criminal complaint and arrest warrant against Durk Banks, also known as Little Durk, aka Mustafa Abdul Malik Banks, for a violation of 18 U.S.C. 1958A, conspiracy to use interstate facilities to commit murder for hire resulting in death. Oh my God. What's up, Anthony Johnson? The facts set forth in this affidavit are based on my personal observations, my training and experience, and information obtained from various law enforcement personnel and witnesses. This affidavit is intended to show merely that there is sufficient probable cause for the requested complaint and warrant, and does not purport to set forth all the knowledge or the investigation into this matter, unless specifically indicated otherwise. All conversations and statements described in this affidavit are related in substance and in part only. Background of the affidavit. I am a special agent with the FBI and have been so employed since April 2010. I am assigned to the Violent Crime Squad in Los Angeles field office and work a variety of crimes, including murder for hire, kidnappings, hostage taking, robberies, extortions, aggravated threats, assaults on federal officers, firearm violations, and felonies at federal facilities. Upon joining the FBI, I intended to graduate from the FBI Basic Special Training course in Quantico, Virginia. I know where that's at. I pass there all the time, where I received training in a variety of investigative and legal matters, including the topic of Fourth Amendment searches, the drafting of the search warrants, affidavits, and probable cause. In my current role, I am assigned to the Violent Crime Criminal Squad, where I have experience conducting and assisting with multiple violent crime investigations as described above. I have formal training in this case management, interviewing and interrogation, crisis management, crime scene analysis, cellular telephone analysis, evidence collection, social media exploitation, and handling confidential sources. Summary of probable cause. Banks is the leader of a Chicago-based rap collective known as Only the Family, or OTF. So that means only the family. Only the family. OTF. In addition to OTF status as a rap collective, I know based on investigation that OTF also acts as an association in fact of individuals who engage in violence, including murder and assault, at the direction of banks, and to maintain their status in OTF, for example, based on evidence collected during the investigation, including the interview of witnesses. I know that banks put monetary bounty out for an individual with whom Banks was feuding named TB. As detailed below, on August 19, 2022, multiple OTF members and associates used 2 vehicles and worked in tandem to track, stalk, and attempt to murder TB at a gas station located in Los Angeles, California. The co-conspirators fired at least 18 rounds at TB's vehicle, striking and killing SR, TB's family member who was traveling with TB. Wait, who is TB again? What's his name? What's TB's name again? The rapper. What is his name? Somebody will tell me. Who is TB? I just forget his name right now. I just need to know before I keep reading. Damn it, I forget his name, man. Quando Rondo. Okay. All right, well, let me do something real quick. I just need to know something. I should have did this. Okay. Okay. His Quando Rondo, his real name is Tyquan Terrell Bauman. Okay, TB. That's his initials. All right. Tyquan Terrell Bauman. All right. On October 17, 2024, a grand jury sitting in the Central District of California returned an indictment charging 5 co-conspirators, Kevon London Grant, DeAndre Dontrell Wilson, Keith Jones, David Brian Lindsley, and Asa Houston, with crimes arising from the murder, including murder for hire and conspiracy to commit murder for hire, resulting in death, violation of U.S. 1958. And then they say, see United States versus Kevon Grant. All right. Banks is identified as co-conspirator 1 in the indictment, which is incorporated herein by reference. Based on the investigation and described below, evidence shows that Banks ordered TB's murder and that the hitman used Banks and OTF-related finances to carry out the murder. For example, Banks and flight records show that an OTF member and close associate of Banks, co-conspirator 3, coordinated and paid for Jones, Lindsay, Wilson, and Houston and other OTF members, co-conspirator 2, to travel from Chicago to California on the day before the murder, August 18, 2022. Co-conspirator 3 paid for the flights using a credit card linked to Banks and OTF. Mistake number 1. Around the time that co-conspirator 3 purchased the co-conspirators' flights to California, iCloud records showed that a phone number associated with Banks texted co-conspirator 3, "Don't book no flights under no names involved," with "sick me" or something. Additionally, on the same day that the hitman traveled to California from Chicago, Banks also traveled to California with another charged co-conspirator, Grant, on a private jet. Later that day, Grant purchased ski masks. He purchased ski masks for the shooters to use to commit the murder and paid for the other co-conspirators' hotel room using a credit card in Banks' name. Oh my God. Oh my God. He made so many, Mr. Banks, that's dirt, Mr. Banks. You guys made a lot of mistakes. Early this morning, October 24th, the federal and local law enforcement executed multiple search warrants at locations associated with OTF members in and around Chicago area and arrested Grant, Wilson, Jones, Lindsay, and Houston After executing the warrants, the FBI learned that Banks had been booked on at least 3 international flights scheduled to leave the United States today. When Banks arrived near one of the departing airports, he was arrested by law enforcement personnel. So he tried to get out of there. He knew that his people were getting arrested, and he tried to just hurry up and book a flight on out to Europe. Too late. He didn't get there. But he did get to the airport, but they got him. Now, why would you pay for stuff for a credit card in Banks' name, Lil Durk's name? Why would he do that? Why don't you just use cash? Why don't you just give him cash? Here, take my credit card. Get some rooms. Get your hotel room for the hit. And let me fly on a private jet. What is he flying on a private jet to Los Angeles for, to make sure the hit went down? Boy, these people, they think they mobsters, man. It's crazy. Based on my training and experience, based on my training and experience, my personal involvement in this investigation, conversations with other law enforcement officers, witness statements, and review of reports and other documents prepared by law enforcement officers, I am aware of the following. What is the following? This is my first time reading it, by the way, y'all. So, I might stop for a little bit and be like, Chicago-based hitmen traveled to Los Angeles to murder a rival of Banks. This is just all wrong. Chicago-based hitmen. Okay. Here, let me purchase the ski mask, because you guys are gonna need ski masks for this. Hey, let me use Durk's credit card. All right, go get the ski mask, okay, for the hit. And we're going to get you some hotel rooms as well, because you're going to need somewhere. You need a nice hotel room. What the On October 17, 2024, a grand jury returned an indictment charging Grant, Wilson, Jones, Lindsay, and Houston with murder for hire and conspiracy to commit murder for hire, resulting in the death of SR in violation of 18 USC, and discharged the firearms and machine gun in furtherance of a crime of violence, resulting in the death in violation of 18 U.S.C. and all the other stuff. The grand jury also charged Jones with possession of a machine gun in violation of the codes. As alleged in the indictment, on August 19, 2022, SR and others, including SR's family member TB, a rap artist known as Quando Rondo, were near their vehicle at a gas station across from the Beverly Center in Los Angeles when 3 gunmen opened fire on the vehicle, killing SR. Law enforcement personnel subsequently recovered 18 shell casings from the murder scene. At the time of the murder, TB had a public feud with Banks, aka Lil Durk. Banks is a Chicago-based gang member and leader of the rap collective known as Only the Family, or OTF. The feud stemmed from a November 6, 2020 murder where an associate of TB shot and killed OTF rapper named Davon Bennett, aka King Von. Bennett was a member of OTF and Banks' close friend. According to open source reporting and witnesses, Banks placed a monetary bounty on TB's life. Based on the investigation to date, including open source research, my training and experience investigating gangs and violent crime, and the witness statements, OTF is a hybrid organization that functions as Banks-led music collective and a gang. Based on the investigation to date, including conversations with other law enforcement agents and witness statements, Houston and Wilson are associated with OTF, and Lindsay and Jones are associated with other gangs in Chicago. The hitmen traveled using funds linked to Banks. I know the following based on my review of the LAPD reports, surveillance footage, Banks and flight records, witness statements, and homicide detectives from the LAPD and Federal investigators involved in the case. On August 18, 2022, the day before SR's murder, OTF learned of the location of TB from a longtime OTF affiliate and co-conspirator 4. After OTF members learned this, the following men took a one-way flight from Chicago to San Diego: Jones, Lindsay, Wilson, Houston, and co-conspirator 2. The one-way tickets to San Diego were purchased using American Express credit card ending in 2039 and in the name of co-conspirator 3, who is also associated with OTF and banks. Based on records from Apple, I know that on the same day, a number ending in 9595, believed to be associated with banks, sent a text message to co-conspirator 3 stating, don't book flights under no names involved with something me or whatever. Based on my review of hotel records, I know that Grant rented and paid for a room at the Sheraton Universal Hotel in Universal City, California on August 18. Okay, the Sheraton. That's a nice spot for a hitman. You know, the Sheraton. You see what I'm saying? They ain't stay at no inn. They stayed at the Sheraton. Okay? This is some bougie hitman. All right? You got to stay at the Sheraton. In Universal City, California on August 18, 2022, using American Express card in bank's name, ending in 1015. Jones, Lindsay, Wilson, Houston, and co-conspirator 3 stayed at the hotel the night before the co-conspirators tracked and stalked and attempted to kill TB. Based on my review of bank records, I know that 2039 and 1015 credit cards are issued under an account belonging to OA and Astronaut Sounds, LLC. Based on public information, I know that OA was bank's manager in or around 2022. Georgia Secretary of State online corporation records show that Astronaut Sounds LLC was initially registered by OA in 2017. A request of amendment was filed on 2021 and a new manager, Banks, was added to the business. The bank records also show that the Astronaut Sounds American Express account had 4 credit cards issued to 4 individuals: Banks, co-conspirator 3, Banks' father, DB, and OA. Banks' father, DB. Yeah, hold up. Credit cards issued to 4 individuals: Banks, co-conspirator 3, Banks' father, DB, and OA. Okay. Based on my review of records from a private airplane company, I know that Banks and Grant flew on the same airplane from Los Angeles to Miami on August 16, 2022, and back to Los Angeles on August 18, 2022, the day before SR's murder. Records from a rental property show that Banks manager OA rented a house in Encino, California on July 1st, 2022 to October 1st, 2022, based on investigators' review of photographs of the interior of the Encino rental. I know that the video footage from an August 18, 2022 podcast shows the host of the podcast with Banks, wherein Banks appears to be inside the Encino house. On the day of the murder, August 19, 2022, surveillance video showed TB, SR, and others leave their hotel room in Los Angeles to enter a black Cadillac Escalade. Okay, that's a nice something to do a hit in, right? A black Cadillac Escalade. You need that. Surveillance, back in the day, used to be hoopties, but like a nice black Cadillac Escalade is riding in luxury. Surveillance video taken from numerous locations throughout Los Angeles, including TB's hotel and a gas station where the murder occurred, shows that 2 vehicles followed the Escalade for hours. Oh, I'm sorry. That was TB and SR that had the black Escalade. Sorry. I'm thinking about Durk'S crew. Numerous locations throughout Los Angeles, including TB's hotel and gas station where the murder occurred, show that two vehicles followed the Escalade for hours leading up to the shooting. So they were following them for hours. The vehicle was a white BMW murder. Okay. Yeah, you gotta have a nice BMW for a murder, right? One vehicle was a white BMW, murder vehicle 1, and another vehicle was a white Infiniti, murder vehicle 2, among other things. Surveillance video of the murder scene shows that murder vehicle 2 parked in the alley behind the gas station, where 3 shooters wearing black masks exit the vehicle, later identified as Jones, Lindsay, and co-conspirator 2, walked to the gas station and opened fire on the Escalade. The shooters then ran back to the murder vehicle 2 and drove away. Murder vehicle 1 drove away from the area just minutes before the shooting. Approximately 50 minutes after the shooting, surveillance video with an In-N-Out restaurant in Los Angeles shows Grant, Jones, and Wilson arrive in murder vehicle 1. The video also shows Lindsay and co-conspirator 2 arrive at the In-N-Out in a black, I know where that's at too, I've been around there. The In-N-Out in a black SUV, based on a comparison of surveillance video showing the murder to video from the In-N-Out restaurant. Law enforcement identified that Lindsay, Jones, and co-conspirator 2 were the individuals who opened fire to kill SR. A few hours after the shooting, Jones, Lindsay, Wilson, Houston, and co-conspirator 2 boarded a flight from San Diego to Chicago. Once again, a credit card in the same name of co-conspirator 3 was used to pay for a one-way tickets. Banks books multiple international flights after law enforcement arrests multiple co-conspirators and executed search warrants at locations associated with OTF members. I know the following based on my conversation with other law enforcement agents involved in the investigation and my personal involvement in the investigation. In the early hours of October 24th, 2024, that was a few days ago, law enforcement arrested Grant, Jones, Lindsay, Wilson, and Houston and executed multiple search warrants in the Chicago area, including a warrant to search the home of co-conspirator 3. Shortly after making these arrests and executing the search warrants on October 24th, the FBI received notifications from U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP, showing that Banks had been booked as a passenger on 2 international flights. A one-way flight from Miami to Dubai, United Arab Emirates, UAE, connecting through Doha, Qatar, scheduled to depart the evening of October 24th, and a one-way flight from Fort Lauderdale to Switzerland, connecting via New Jersey, also scheduled to depart the evening of October 24th. Banks did not board either flight. Let's just stop right there for a second. So, a one-way flight from Fort Lauderdale to Switzerland. Hold on, let me go back. So they're showing that Banks had booked as a passenger on 2 international flights. A one-way flight from Miami to Dubai. That's where they caught him at. They caught him in Miami. So Miami to Dubai. So he was getting ready to go to Dubai from Miami. United Arab Emirates, connecting through Doha, Qatar. Scheduled to depart the evening of October 24th. And then he booked another one-way flight from Fort Lauderdale to Switzerland. Now, I want to know who was going to get on that flight. He can't get on both flights at the same time. Or maybe he was planning just in case if he had to run, he would just drive to New Jersey or something. I don't know. But maybe somebody else was planning to get on that flight. He said a one-way flight from Fort Lauderdale to Switzerland. Connecting via. Oh, I get it. He He made 2 flights. If he couldn't, if Miami probably was too hot, he would have left out of Fort Lauderdale. Connecting, then he would have had to fly to New Jersey, then go out to Switzerland. And also scheduled to depart the evening October 24th. Bank did not board either flight. At approximately 6:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the FBI received additional CBP notification that Banks had booked as a passenger on a private plane departing Miami and destined for Italy. So he booked 3 flights. He was in a panic mode. That's what happened. He was in panic mode at this point. So again, they said that they received FBI received additional CBP notification that Banks had booked as a passenger on a private plane departing Miami and destined for Italy, scheduled to depart at approximately 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He was in panic mode. For sure he was. At approximately 8 p.m., Banks was arrested by law enforcement in the vicinity of the departing airport. Conclusion: for all of the reasons described above, there is probable cause and believe that Banks violated 18 U.S.C. Conspiracy to use interstate facilities to commit murder for hire resulting in death. And that's it. That's the end of the complaint. So it's a total 11 pages. So that's the complaint. There's nothing else yet, but as soon as more stuff come up in, like I said, Pacer, I will read that information as we go forward. But this is the complaint. Okay. United States. Now he's officially cased up in the feds. United States of America versus Durk Banks, aka Little Durk, aka Mustafa Abdul Malik. It's Malik. Mustafa Abdul Malik. I know he just recently converted to Islam. And then his father had just got out of prison. He converted to Islam. So a lot of people from the block, I heard, also committed to Islam. And let me just go to his Instagram real quick. See what's going on. Oops. Just show you that he had converted to Islam. Okay. There it is. He converted. Lil Durk said, Mustafa, the chosen one, the king. Allahu Akbar. Allah is the greatest. It is said, like, once you convert, like, you know, things are forgiven. So they committed to change it. Was he changing his life around? I don't know. But there it is, Lil Durk. That's little Mustafa. So he'll be able to, you know, practice and where he's at. Like that. He'll be able to practice. So that's it, guys. That's the complaint. Okay. He is now cased up, man. Whenever it say United States, that's feds. United States of America. versus Dirk Banks. They got all his AKs, AK Lil Durk, AK Mustafa Abdul Malik. Oh, man, what do y'all think of this complaint, man? What do y'all think of this complaint? Let me see. What do y'all think, man? That's Mustafa. He said Durk is done. Yeah, Mustafa, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. Please hit the like button if you be so kind. It'll be greatly appreciated. Please do that for us. But yeah, Lil Durk, in my opinion, anytime you have one of your best partners, right, turn government witness, and when he's in the interrogation room, they provided him food, you're in trouble. Yeah, you're in trouble when they provided him food. Okay? They provided him food. He's in trouble, man. And I remember Durk had recently came out with a song called Lost Cell Phones. He said, if you're a man ratting, why you even need a lawyer? Something he said. What's the use of even having a lawyer? He's right. Because he gonna tell it. He gonna tell it, man. It ain't too many people that's gonna sit there and take a charge for you. They gonna tell it. You say he watched too many movies. His ego is his downfall. It's crazy, man. So that's what's going on with Lil Durk right there. So now I want to play. It says Drake's lawyers speak on Lil Durk's murder plot arrest. More to come. Let's look at what Drake's lawyer had to say.
A convoluted story, but we're going to try to make sense of it for you. We have 32-year-old Lil Durk, whose real name is Durk Banks. He started his rise to fame in 2010 when he started a rap collective called Only the Family, or OTF. His most well-known songs are All My Life with J. Cole, Broadway Girls with Morgan Wallen. His feature part in Drake's Laugh Now, Cry Later has really brought him up to attention. But last week, U.S. Marshals had stopped Banks from leaving the country at a Florida airport and booked him into the Broward County Jail. He had been indicted on a charge of conspiracy to use interstate facilities to commit murder for hire, resulting in death. He's also been hit with weapons charges, too. These are federal charges, by the way. Very, very serious charges. We'll talk more about it. But we've gotten our hands on an affidavit from an FBI agent who was investigating Banks' connection to what was this brazen shooting at an LA gas station. And we also have the indictment from the Central District of California. So we're going to be taking information from both documents. And now, because the court documents refer to the people involved in this case by their birth names, we're going to do the same. We'll talk about that in a second. But to get into this, I want to bring in celebrity defense attorney, friend of the show, Bradford Cohen, to talk more about this. Bradford, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. We have another rap star taken into custody on some pretty serious charges, very different than the Sean Combs case, which we've been talking so much about. Just what are your initial thoughts on the indictment, the affidavit, these initial documents, and the initial allegations alleged by prosecutors?
So I think that when we look at the indictment itself, what's so interesting is, and this happens quite often, they don't put all and everything that they have in the indictment because they don't have to, right? Less is more for an assistant U.S. attorney or the U.S. attorney's office. And in this case, I think that's what they did. They gave them enough to know that they know what's going on, but not enough to know everything that's going on. I think, obviously, there's been some rumors that there's been a snitch among his group that has been wearing a wire for some time. And if that's the case, it's going to be a very difficult case for everyone involved, depending on how much talking there was going on. What I thought was interesting with the indictment is, a lot of things around Durk basically revolve around funding. That he paid for airport, he paid for flights, he paid for hotels, he paid for car rentals, all these things that they utilized in this, quote unquote, murder for hire plot. So that's really where they're tying him in right now. But I think there's going to be more to come. And I think that there's going to be individuals that either will flip or that have already flipped, or there's going to be someone very close to him that was wearing a wire that would be willing to testify as to his involvement. Because his involvement right now is kind of tangentially involved,
right,
where he's the funder, but there's no direct allegation that he said, hey, this is what I want done. There's an allegation that he spoke in code and he could have said this and all these different things, but there's no allegation that says, hey, this is what he said and this is what was going to happen.
And to be clear, when we're talking about this, obviously there are multiple people involved. You can't have a conspiracy unless there are several people involved, especially something like this. So although Banks might be the most famous of the names that are called out in the indictment, he's not the only one. I'm going to list them out. In the indictment, we have Kevon London Grant, we have DeAndre Dontrell Wilson, we have Keith Jones, David Brian Lindsay, and Asa Houston. And the indictment also names 5 co-conspirators, with Banks being one of them. In the indictment, he's referred to by his initials DB, or co-conspirator 1. So here's a little bit of background on this case. And it really starts in 2020, because that is when Banks was with his friend and fellow Chicago rapper King Von at an Atlanta nightclub. And Von had apparently got into a fight with a Georgia rapper known as Quando Rondo. A friend of Rondo's allegedly pulled out a gun and shot King Von, killing him. Now, authorities say that Banks and his rap collective, OTF, the one that I mentioned, they wanted retribution. They wanted payback. So he allegedly made it known that he would pay a bounty for anyone who killed Rondo, who's, by the way, his real name is Taekwon Bowman. Now, in the court documents, he's named as TB. I know there's a lot of different names here, but stick with me. We're going to try to make sense of this. So investigators say that in 2022, so this is 2 years after that Atlanta shooting of King Von, a plan came together to kill Bowman. The criminal complaint that was filed against Banks includes an affidavit from an FBI agent, and she gives her summary of probable cause. The affidavit reads in part, quote, Banks is the leader of the Chicago-based rap collective known as Only the Family, or OTF. In addition to OTF's status as a rap collective, I know based on the investigation that OTF also acts as an association, in fact, of individuals who engage in violence, including murder and assault, at the direction of Banks and to maintain their status in OTF. For example, based on evidence collected during the investigation, including the interview of witnesses, I know that Banks put a monetary bounty out for an individual with whom Banks was feuding, named TB. And then there's a footnote at the bottom of that page that reads, due to serious safety concerns, this affidavit does not provide the identity of these witnesses. Based on the FBI's investigation, I know that witnesses and or their family members have already received threats and or have been contacted in what appears to be attempts to influence their participation in this investigation. What do you make of that, Bradford?
So it's basic. Like a lot of these allegations, you can almost take each one of these and put them into every case that we've seen as of late, where witnesses are either contacted or witnesses are offered a monetary amount not to testify. And sometimes that comes with a civil case. Like if there's a civil matter that's outstanding, they might say, hey, listen, there's a civil matter that you could have, and we're going to give you a settlement of XYZ. The feds automatically take that as you're buying off a witness. So it just depends on the facts of those circumstances. Like I've seen it many times where the feds read into it differently than you would if you just read it yourself, wherein people are trying to be influenced. A friend of a friend might contact you and say like, hey, listen, this isn't a good idea to be a witness in a federal case. The feds take that as, oh, hey, this is, Bob Smith influencing this witness because he's friends with this person who's friends with that person. A lot of times that doesn't shake out the way that they put it in the indictment. And they put that in the indictment specifically for bond purposes, right? So when you go in for bond, they say, hey, listen, this guy's trying to influence everybody, and here's all these things. But when you actually get into the case, sometimes those things don't shake out, and then it's already too late because you already moved for bond and you didn't get bond.
That's the same thing that's happening with Sean Combs. I mean, well, that's
Correct.
a little different because he's not charged specifically with obstruction, but it's part of the racketeering count. I read this indictment. I didn't see anything that Lil Durk is charged specifically with obstruction or witness tampering. It's more the conspiracy. There's also federal weapons charges. So does that give you pause too that he's not? I mean, again, maybe I'm wrong that he wasn't directly charged with anything like witness tampering, obstruction.
Yeah, it always gives me pause. Whenever the feds throw an indictment in, it gives me pause right away because a lot of times you'll see in the indictment, there's a lot of accusations in the indictment that when you start getting into it and it starts kind of flushing out the facts, they stretch what could be a basic fact, they stretch it into something that it's not. And I've seen this time.
Y'all see this picture? Y'all see this picture right here? That's OTF Jam. Okay? That's a hell of a name. OTF Jam. He is jamming him up right now. Look at him. Anytime you got food in the interrogation room, you were in trouble. You in a heap of trouble. You in a heap of trouble. That's OTF Jam. I'm just stuck on the name OTF Jam. He likes to jam people up, man. Do y'all see this? That's OTF Jam, man. OTF Jam. He eating too. He got McDonald's. Bro, he got McDonald's, man. And the McDonald's made me sick. I know he's sick, right? It made me sick. It appears that he has McDonald's. They got him what he wanted too. Got some fries, some sauce. He holding that bag and like he ready to give up the information. I don't know what he feasting on, but he got McDonald's, man. Anytime, you know how they say you need some glass of water, you need anything to eat. They looking out for him. He's helping them out. You need anything to eat? Okay, OTF Jam. Listen, Mr. Jam. We gonna get you what you want. I know you hungry. It's been a long day. Okay, we're about to go to McDonald's. You want anything? What kind of sauce you want? Oh, whatever you want. We gonna write it down. You want, okay, that kind of sauce? Okay, fries. Okay, we'll be back. Here you go, OTF Jam. Take your time, have some food. We'll be back. Just eat, relax, and we're going to be back for the statement. You're doing the right thing. Okay, because you have to think about your family, your kids, everything. You're not going to spend an eternity behind bars. Okay, you're helping us take down Little Durk, a.k.a. Little Mustafa, Abdul Malik. Okay? You're doing a great thing, OTF Jam. You're doing a great thing. Listen, man. Like Durk had this song, and his song is tight too, man. I was listening to it. He was talking about, if your man is snitching, why you need a lawyer? Or something he said. Yeah, why you need a lawyer if your man giving statements, man? Guys, that's OTF Jam. Look at the photo, man. And see, he got that look on his face because he know what the ramifications are for him doing this. Because he gonna get out. OTF Jam ain't getting no time. Do y'all hear what I'm saying to you? He's been working with them folks. They say he's wearing a wire. And so they didn't name because we already read the complaint, right? They didn't put that in the complaint. Okay, they're not going to put everything in the complaint. So if you're following cases for the first time, you learn something new with the feds. They don't put everything in the complaint. They hold that. Okay? They don't put all their, they don't show their entire hand in the complaint. They just show enough to get them. To tell the jury tell the judge this is why he don't get bail. Lil Durk is not getting bail. Okay? Not with the nature of these crimes and somebody was deleted. No, he not getting bail. His last day of freedom when he was picked up at the airport. He had dreams, man. He had dreams going to Italy. He was living a nice life. He going to Italy. He was trying to get to Switzerland, different places. He probably was like, I am on the run. You know, I think sometimes they live their raps too much or something. I don't know. But he was like, I'm out of here. I'm getting on a private jet. This dude was going to fly a private jet to Italy. You hear me? He wasn't flying commercial. Private jet. He must have really thought he was that dude. He must have really thought so, man. But look at OTF Jam. He's looking at that up like that, like he know what he getting ready to do is bad, but he ain't got no other choice because he's not trying to spend an eternity behind bars. Okay? He wore a wire, so he's been helping. That's why they gave him food. Here, take this. We know you're hungry, you know. Instead, he wore a wire. Okay? Lil Durk had a video where he gave him money. He gave him a knot of money. It was so big he had to hold it with both hands. He gave him a big stack and was praising OTF Jam. That's his dude, man. He was praising him. And now look at him sitting in that interrogation room, man. Giving statements, helping out. If he wore a wire, you know, they taped the conversation. It's done, man. It really is. I know he's innocent until proven guilty, but damn, he's done. This ain't going to trial. I just promise you that. It's not going to trial. He gonna take a deal, and he's done. His deal is done. His deal means he might go to trial, because why take a deal and you never getting out? So now his lawyers are going to have to try to discredit OTF Jam. You said he must have watched too much Black Book on Netflix. You said the feds might as well been living with him because they know it. Yeah, because they might as well, because they had to hit the wire. Damn. Didn't he win a Grammy? This man won a Grammy. Antoine, you hear me? He won a Grammy. Lil Durk. He won a Grammy. He's just like, it's it, man. Thanks to OTF Jam. I had to show you that. I had to make that picture real quick.
Time and time again. So in this case, it could be individuals that are loosely associated with OTF, or that is signed to the label, or something else that has contacted a witness, and they're trying to put whatever they did onto Durk Banks. So that's the issue here, right? Is that they're just lumping them all together. They'll just say, hey, listen, you know, because this guy did that, obviously Durk is the quote unquote leader of OTF. He must have known what was going on. Therefore, he shouldn't get a bond because this is a dangerous gang, and etc. You notice they stopped short of saying this is a dangerous gang and said this is a dangerous association of individuals that are known as OTF, which I thought was interesting, because generally speaking, when it comes to any of these rap groups, so like, you know, there's OTF and YNW and YSL, and they all say like, hey, all of these nicknames, this is all a gang. And you know, even though it's a record label, it's also a gang. And that's kind of their argument with every single one of these. And that's going to be their argument here. But I thought it was interesting in the indictment, it didn't specifically say gang. It said an association of individuals that go under OTF. I thought that was kind of interesting, because I don't know what kind of evidence they have to say OTF is or is not a gang legally, the legal definition.
I thought it was PTSD from the YSL trial. Let's not rush to call anything a gang because of all the trouble there. That's a separate conversation. We can have a completely talk about that. Okay, but this I think could be problematic for Lil Durk, and I'll get into this because on the morning of October 24th, we have federal and local law enforcement. They execute these search warrants in Chicago. They arrest Grant, Wilson, Jones, Lindsay, Houston. And that is when they learned that Banks had booked multiple flights that were leaving the country. The affidavit says the FBI received notifications from U.S. Customs and Border Protection showing that Banks had been booked as a passenger on 2 international flights, a one-way flight from Miami to Dubai, United Arab Emirates, connecting through Doha, Qatar, scheduled to depart the evening of October 24th, and one-way flight from Fort Lauderdale to Switzerland, connecting via New Jersey, also scheduled to depart the evening of October 24th. Now, Banks didn't board either flight, but at approximately 6:40 p.m., the FBI received an additional CBP notification that Banks had been booked as a passenger on a private plane departing Miami and destined for Italy, scheduled to depart at approximately 9 p.m. At approximately 8 p.m., Banks was arrested by law enforcement in the vicinity of the departing airport. So, Bradford, I mean, that seems to be evidence that he might have been trying to leave the country. You tell me what you make of that.
So I make a couple different things of that. So the first part of that is all the countries that he has. Dubai is going to extradite you. Switzerland's going to extradite you. These countries are going to extradite. You know, the only places that don't extradite are like you go to Vietnam, you go to Morocco. There's certain countries that don't extradite, like strictly don't extradite.
That's what I was thinking. So he was thinking about Switzerland, Italy, Dubai. They extradite. So he was going places where they were going to pick him up anyway. The government was going to hand him over. I could see if he went to Bali. Why don't they go to Bali? Bali is nice. He should have been going to Bali. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, come on, Italy, Switzerland. He was going to places that he liked, actually. Probably liked Switzerland. He probably liked Italy. He probably liked Dubai. Nah, man, you have to go to Bali. Because then if you there, you're going to have to stay there for the rest of your life because there's no statute of limitations on murder. So he would be done anyway. He would have to stay there for the rest of his life. Okay? He'd have just been hanging out in Bali, man. Or if he's lucky, he can try to slide out to other places, but they would catch him because they would be watching the flights and stuff. They would catch him and intercept it once he landed in one of those countries. They would be right there, eyeballing to see if he's see if he get off the plane. So any way you look at it, he was done. You said those are expensive tickets to buy, and not you right. But he probably was in a panic mode. Oh my God, I got to get out of here. They don't. Man, I just heard OTF Jam has food up in the interrogation room. I got to get out of here. He was in panic mode. That man was in panic mode. Okay. Let me see. Was he in Italy? Let me see. In October 20th, I believe, I'm not sure where he was. Yeah, he was, not too long ago, he was out of the country. He was. Yeah, he was out of the country, but they waited for him to get back. He was out of the country. Yep, he sure was. Yep. Yeah, but he's he posted something here on the one picture. He said you're rich when you're rich after taxes. Loading. Wow. He said you're rich when you're rich after taxes. loading. Man, these people are stupid. For sure they are. But yeah, he was out of the country quite a bit. You know? He ain't but, man, I ain't know he was this small, man. He ain't but so big. That's why he call him Little Durk, I guess. He about 5'2", 5'3". He gonna have to lift some major weights up in prison. These kids are built different, man. They I don't know, man. It's something in the Similac or something they put. These guys ain't but so big. He barely tall as his old lady. Little Durk. Yeah, he was all over the place traveling. Living the high life, man.
All these other countries, even if they don't have a treaty with the U.S. for extradition, they're going to extradite because they rely on the U.S. for money. They rely on the U.S. for support. Switzerland, especially. Italy will deport you in about 10 seconds. They'll extradite you in 10 seconds. So I don't make much of whether or not he was going to escape and flee the country. I think more than likely, and sometimes this happens, when it was unusual that there were so many booked, right? What's not unusual is sometimes where an individual doesn't know whether or not there's a warrant out for their arrest. And I've seen this before happen in the past, where some associates get arrested. And in order to see whether or not they have a warrant, because that's not public knowledge, whether or not they have a warrant, they'll book an international flight and it'll red flag them. And then they'll get a call from the FBI or their lawyer will get a call and they'll say like, hey, your client's red flagged. They're trying to leave the country. Just so you know, they're under investigation or XYZ. And you find out information you wouldn't necessarily find out. Now, I don't know if that's the case here because there were so many that were booked, but I have seen that before in the past where a client will call me and say like, hey, Bob Smith got arrested. Can you check if I have a warrant? We can't check if there's a warrant. Oh, no one tells us there's a warrant. So
just to be clear about that, so you're saying instead of they didn't have an option where he calls his lawyers and say, hey, can you check with the feds to find out if there's a warrant out for my arrest? That wouldn't work. So you're saying this is a way for him to find out, hey, am I in trouble? I'm going to book these flights and see if they get flagged.
Sure. And it's happened before. Now, the difference here is there's so many flights. You know, there's 2 or 3 flights that were booked. That's the weird part of it. But it wouldn't be weird for me to see someone that books a flight to the Bahamas. They book a flight to, Italy or Spain. And then, within 6 hours of booking that flight, they get a call or we get a call. That happens quite often. Now, it depends on your lawyer. Like, for example, me, if somebody says to me, hey, do I have a warrant out? And, my associate got arrested. I've been doing this so long, I can make a phone call and not necessarily find out if there's a warrant, but I'll find out. They'll tell me, hey, listen, don't have your guy leave the country. Like he's being watched. And then I know, okay, just let me know if I need to surrender him or whatever I need to do. And that's the relationship that you build over 30 years. Not everyone can do that.
That's an interesting alternative explanation for that. I'm sure it will come out in a bond, in a bond hearing if he's questioned about that. So let me go now to these alleged co-conspirators and what exactly happened here. We have to make sense of it. So the indictment that was filed in the Central District of California gets into it, and it says that all of them conspired and agreed with each other to knowingly use facilities of interstate and foreign commerce, namely airplanes, cars, cell phones, and the internet, with intent that the murder of TB be committed in violation of laws of any state, namely the state of California, as consideration for the receipt of and consideration for a promise and agreement to pay anything of pecuniary value, namely money and lucrative music opportunities with OTF. So this is a murder for hire plot in exchange for career opportunities or money. And according to the FBI and other investigators, Banks was the one who put out this call for a bounty. And then he got word that his apparent target, Bowman, was going to be visiting Los Angeles. So authorities say they have proof that Banks and our OTF provided the funds for 5 people to fly from Chicago to San Diego and then apparently drive to Los Angeles, with the plan being to kill Mr. Bowman. The indictment lays out what we call overt acts that they say this group committed in furtherance of this conspiracy. You can't just have an agreement. You have to have overt acts, overt steps that were taken to actually commit this crime. And the apparent proof ties it back to all the defendants. For example, one overt act says, on August 18th, 2022, co-conspirator 1 texted co-conspirator 3, "Don't book no flights under no names involved with me." So again, that's allegedly Lil Durk writing that. There are text messages between 3 of the defendants showing that they had the same airline ticket information. One of them also messaged someone on Instagram to say, "On my way to LA." And it's also being reported that Banks himself allegedly flew to Southern California on a private plane, was staying at a hotel in the San Fernando Valley, and authorities say they have camera footage that puts him there. Grant, who is allegedly a top OTF associate, bought ski masks, got cars, then gave 3 people guns, including one that had allegedly been converted into a machine gun. This is a federal crime. This is what prosecutors are alleging Grant did. And the indictment says that 6 people total, they traveled in 2 cars to the hotel in downtown LA where Bowman was supposedly staying. They allegedly started following Bowman, who was in a black Escalade with his cousin, Savia Robinson, known as SR. The indictment includes photos from a traffic camera showing the white Infiniti the suspects were in, seemingly following the black SUV. And the indictment says that the suspects then followed the Escalade to a Beverly Hills gas station, parked in an alley. And the indictment reads, on August 19th, 2022, at the Beverly gas station, the defendants Jones and Lindsay and co-conspirator 2 used the firearms procured by defendant Grant, including the fully automatic firearm, to shoot at TB's car, striking and killing SR, who was standing next to TB's car while TB was inside. And the images below show defendants Jones and Lindsay and co-conspirator 2 firing their guns at TB's black Escalade. So we have the death of SR. TB survived this attack. And the filing includes surveillance photos of what prosecutors say are the suspects appearing to fire guns towards the gas pumps. And you can see it's daylight in these photos at a gas station in the middle of Beverly Hills. So Bradford, whoever was responsible for this, what a blatant crime, what a blatant act in the middle of it. But talk to me how strong you think this case is based on what I've been saying. If we're trying to prove, if the prosecutors are trying to prove conspiracy, what do you make of some of this evidence? Text messages, surveillance, travel receipts. What do you make of it?
I think that Durk will still have a defense. I think that, I don't know everything that's going on. Obviously, no one does. From what I'm reading in the indictment, I think there's some missing pieces there when it comes to Durk about how involved he was in this alleged conspiracy. The other guys, where they all have plane tickets, they all got a car, they're on tape. That's going to be a very difficult case for those lawyers who have that case, because and I've said this multiple times on multiple cases. There are so many ways these days to catch individuals in this type of crime, where you have cell phone records, GPS data. You're going to have cross-reference on the phones, what phones are together at what times. You're going to have car rental agreements. You're going to have videotapes. It's real funny because very often you find these red light cameras and things like that the feds get on state cases where I want the footage, where I know it's good for my client. They're like, sorry, we don't save that footage. But somehow the feds get, camera footage from red light cameras, camera footage from the next door neighbor, camera footage from some guy who's just randomly on the street. So you'll see that they will put together a forensic case against the actual shooters that will be very heavily based on cell phone records, GPS data, and videotapes. Now, when it comes to Durk Banks, so far I've seen one text that says, don't have them associate my name with any kind of flights that they're taking. Certainly that's not a good text, but is that the only text? Because that in itself doesn't stand on its own. Certainly it's circumstantial. But like I said, we have to wait and see what other evidence they have. If they have a snitch, if they have videotapes or audio tapes of him saying something, I think that's a lot different than, hey, just make sure you don't associate my name with these guys. Because he could be blaming, Grant or one of these other guys and saying like, hey, these guys are going to do some crazy stuff. And he's like, hey, listen, make sure it doesn't associate with me at all. You can look at that a million different ways. So I'm hesitant to say that they have, a slam dunk case on Durk Banks. I think that they have a long way to go on Durk Banks in order to prove the conspiracy against him. I think the others, it's going to be very heavily based on paperwork.
So in other words, I mean, look, I said it before, what a blatant attack. You're shooting in the middle of the day near gas pumps, which could explode. If you make the argument that the case against the shooters is really strong, could there be a situation where they work out an attractive plea deal? I don't know what an attractive plea deal would look like for them, considering what they're facing and what the accusations are, where they turn on Lil Durk. I mean, what would be a scenario that would what kind of deal could be worked out where you're working a deal out with the alleged shooters to go after the principal of this case, or the alleged principal?
It's happened quite often in the past. And if you told me, the deal that Sammy the Bull worked out, right? The guy killed like 19 or 20 people. He ended up getting, a year or two in jail, followed by probation. If you told me that was a deal that someone would get for, being associated with 19 or 20 murders, I would tell you that's an impossible deal to get. So it all depends on the hunger of the U.S. attorney and the AUSA that's involved. And if they want this individual badly enough, they'll make very attractive deals for these individuals. What does a very attractive deal look like? I think they go for the lowest hanging fruit. Whoever, didn't actually kill the guy, maybe someone that was involved that didn't actually shoot, or someone that shot, but it didn't hit, they're going to have forensics. So they'll take whoever is the least culpable, and I think that they'll approach him and make a deal with him that'll be the most attractive. And if that guy doesn't make a deal, they'll move on to the next guy. So usually that's what happens, right? You go for the lowest hanging fruit first, the guy that you think will flip, the guy that didn't really have that much involvement. And I think what also is interesting with the indictment is it wasn't just money. They're like, oh, it could have been money, or it could have been career advancement, which is, it's strange to mention that because they don't really go into any kind of facts about it. They just say it could have been, that they would have advanced in their career. But what does that look like? Durk promised them like a record deal, like doesn't, or
they assumed it. And if they assumed it, that's a weaker case for the prosecution. If it was just like, I assumed if I did this for him,
and that's, so you got it. That's the key, right? They're like, hey, I knew if I helped him out, he would give me a record deal.
Now, let me put a bow on this and talk about what happened after the shooting. The suspects then apparently went to an In-N-Out hamburger stand to talk about payment for the murder. Then they flew home to Chicago from San Diego. Wilson later paid Jones and Lindsay an undisclosed amount of money. That's how prosecutors say this murder plot ended. But the indictment, it charges the 5 named defendants and the 5 alleged co-conspirators with violation of the U.S. Code. It's 1958, use of interstate commerce facilities in the commission of murder for hire. It's part of the statute dealing with racketeering. And because someone was killed, Banks faces life in prison or possibly the death penalty if he's convicted. And all the defendants, they're also charged with firearm possession resulting in a death. The indictment says they knowingly used and carried firearms, including a firearm that defendants Grant, Wilson, Jones, Lindsay, and Houston knew to be a machine gun during and or in relationship to, and possessed such firearms in furtherance of a crime of violence. In so doing, discharged the firearms, resulting in the death of S.R. And defendant Keith Jones, he's also charged separately for knowingly possessing a machine gun, namely a 10 millimeter caliber firearm equipped with an auto sear conversion device, which was designed and intended solely and exclusively for use in converting a weapon into a machine gun, which defendant Jones knew to be a machine gun. So, Bradford, I've laid out the what we know so far. We expect at this point Banks to be extradited from Florida, where he was arrested, to California to face these charges. Talk to me about the next steps, particularly the issue of bail, and how you think that might work with defendant Lil Durk, and how that's going to work with the other co-defendants. Let's start there.
Okay, so with Durk, what happens is when you get arrested in the feds have 3 days to get together a bond pass if they request it. So you get arrested, you show up in front of a judge, you say, Judge, we're not agreeing to, pretrial detention, which is what the government always seeks on these type of cases, especially with this type of case. I don't think that they're going to seek the death penalty on this case. It's not one of those cases that would be appropriate for it. I'd be shocked. I mean, shocked. But long story short is when you're arrested in another jurisdiction, you can move for bond in that jurisdiction. He can move for bond here and then have the judge in California review that bond if it's denied or even if it's granted. And I've had issues where I filed in Florida, they're arrested in Florida, but it's a case out of, most recently I had a case out of Massachusetts. The judge in Florida granted me a bond, and the U.S. attorney in Massachusetts said, I want the judge up here to review it to revoke the bond. And that was denied. But we went for a bond hearing, but the judge in Massachusetts still upheld the bond. So generally down here, what will happen is, okay, he goes in front of the judge. The judge says, hey, you want a bond hearing? I usually say, yeah, I want a bond hearing here as opposed to California because of a couple of different reasons. One is if it's a judge that I know and I know how they behave in court, I can get a lot of information about the case. They put a case agent on, they might put another witness on, and I can find out a lot more details about the case so that when they do go to California, I'm kind of prepared with, okay, I know where they're going with the case. I know what else they have. It's not just this one text, it's something else. I kind of see their case, and it prepares me to go to California and then have that case reviewed by the California judge. And now I'm even more prepared for that next bond hearing in front of the California judge. But I don't know what they're going to do in this case. They could just say, hey, judge, extradite him to California. The California lawyers are going to deal with the bond in California and move for bond there. And like I said, once he gets there, they'll have a couple days to prepare. The government will have a couple days to prepare. And now, because it'll take a week to get there, they'll have even more time to prepare. That's why I like to do them quick. I like to do bond hearings quick because it doesn't give them that much time to prepare. And especially when you're in a different jurisdiction, the agent usually has to fly here, prep the U.S. attorney that's here. All those things come into strategy play. My guess is on this type of case, the judge is probably not going to give him a bond. That's my guess. I kind of know the facts. I know the attorneys that are involved. I don't see where the judge will be, especially the Florida judge would be like, yeah, this sounds like a case I'm going to give him bond and send him to California. If anything, he's got a better shot in California of getting a bond than Florida.
Now, there are a lot of moving factors here. Real quickly before we wrap up, a lot of moving factors here, a lot of different ways this can go. When do you see a trial in a case like this?
Generally, on these type of cases where it's very, very heavy on paperwork, you won't see a trial for 12 to 14 months, minimum. Usually federal cases move a lot faster than state cases. My murder cases in state court or even murder for hire cases in state court usually take 18 to 24 months. If it's really, really quick, 18 months. But usually 18 to 24 months to really get all the facts and get your experts in line. Don't forget, they're going to need experts. They're going to need phone experts. They're going to need video surveillance experts. All these different experts they're going to have to hire. And I usually, on these type of cases where they're saying, oh, he was talking in code, I usually also hire an expert in like the lingo, right? It's like individuals that are in the rap world that can say, oh, I know what the word cat means. And you'd be surprised because the feds always, whenever there's a word that they think could be this way, it can also be interpreted the other way. So, and they always want to interpret it against your client. So I also hire individuals that are experts in, that type of language that individuals use, not just in rap lyrics, because that also comes into play a lot of times, but also in just the way that individuals speak to each other on texts, which a lot of people don't think that way, but you have to. So all those things take time. So I would guess 12 to 14 months minimum.
All right, we will see where this progresses. Bradford Cohen, love having you on. Thank you so much for breaking this down with us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jess.
All right, everybody, that's all we have.
All right, guys. So you heard that very informative take from Bradford Cohen. He's Drake's lawyer. He's really good. He's very respected in the country, and so it's a possibility he could get bond. He would have, maybe he might need to hire Bradford Cohen, because he was like, so again, we know that Durk is innocent until proven guilty, right? So they're going to have to tie him to this. Now, hopefully he was smart enough to speak in code, but it's a possibility that this guy was wearing a wire. So they're going to have to wait and see if that was the case. And obviously, if he got a good lawyer, they're going to attack the credibility of OTF Jam if he decides to testify. And he said it was also interesting that they may go after someone that may have not took part in the killing and see if they could cut a deal with him to testify against Durk, to try to tie him to this. So it's one thing that, yes, he's the head of the OTF, right? But you still got to tie him to it. So he's not out of the, he's not all the way done yet. It's just going to be a fight. So he going to take that money that he accumulated and he going to have to hire some lawyers. So this is going to be a little bit of expensive fight for him. Because like he said, they can hire experts to come in. That costs money. You know, you got to fly them into the trial. You got to pay for their lodging, their rooming expenses, and then them testify on his behalf. So he's just going to have to fight it. We'll see. The government will probably try to use it against him. Like, look, he was on his way to, out of the country. But, his lawyer could say, well, he travels out of the country all the time. So we'll see. We'll see, Durk, but they have to. I'm not sure if they got him in Los Angeles at this point, because that's where he's going to be held at, I'm pretty sure, in a federal facility up there. So that's where the district is of this crime. So he's going to be up there being held. Diddy's in New York. So and the thing is with Diddy, we're going to have to wait. Is there going to be a superseding indictment coming or what? So we'll see. And also, what evidence do they have, on them tapes and stuff? So they got the guy Happy Meal, and they said there's been rumors that he's wearing a wire, but when he get a Happy Meal, he ready to give it up. But a good lawyer like Jose Baez or somebody, they will attack his credibility in front of that jury. Because in the Aaron Hernandez case, the guy that was with him the night of the double murder, he testified against Aaron. And he said, yeah, Aaron pulled the trigger and, he leaned over me and pulled the trigger and shot him and stuff like that. But the jury didn't buy it because he tore that guy up on the cross-examination. He tore him up. So we'll see what happened to Lil Durk. See what he can do. See what his lawyers could do, man. See what his lawyers could do. Yeah. But yeah, this is the case of Lil Durk. So we already read the complaint and stuff like that. Obviously, they didn't give much details in the complaint. If there was wires or surveillance on them, they didn't say that yet. So they didn't show their hand yet. But when he go to his evidentiary phase, when he's getting his, paperwork and gathering all of the things that they, his discovery, everything they have against him, then his lawyers could strategize from there. So, but they got to tie him to it. There's a couple ways they can go about it. We don't know if the man was wearing a wire and he said something on the wire that, yeah, I need him deleted or something or whatever. But the lawyer's going to fight tooth and nail. And you see Bradford Cohen was given some type of strategy on what he would do. So we'll see. We'll see. So he's definitely said that he would rather fight for a bail in California, so as opposed to Florida. I'm not sure if he's been taken in California yet, but I know he's being held at the Broward County Jail right now, waiting to be extradited by the U.S. Marshals. They'll take him on, fly him on the Convict Express on to California. So you said, is it true that there are tapes released with Demi Moore with young boys at Diddy's? I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into that. I just got a feeling he might leak something. That's what I'm waiting on. He might be like, you know what? I'm not going down by myself, man. Taylor Swift once said Sean Diddy Combs would be one of her dream prom dates. Oh my God. She wanted him to be a prom date. He would have more than be happy to oblige her. Yeah, I'll be your prom date. We party afterwards. You know, we're going to have a party for you. You okay? After the prom, we're going to have a party. We have a party for you. Oh, he would have loved that. He would have. Yes, he would have loved that. He would have loved it. Come on and party with me. It's about the party. Yes, indeed. Come on and party with me. Medea, you don't hang out with me like I used to hang out, Medea. Why don't you party with me no more? You know, you got to party. Man. So we got two people cased up here. Who is next, man? Who is next? And we got the Abercrombie and Fitch guy. He cased up. He got out quickly, though. It didn't take him less than 8 hours. He was out. Saw a judge, made bail, got back in his own car. He said Busta Rhymes. Nah, and you said Busta Bus. People want Jay-Z and them bad. They said Jay next. Jay. Man, Jay chilling. Man. He ain't worried about nothing. Oh, by the way, I got to show you something. You know French Montana? You said so he should have slid to Bali. Yeah, he should have. They don't have extradition. Yeah, he should have slid to Bali. He should have. But Italy was a no-go. They would have turned him around so fast, quicker than he could say his name. Yep. You got to go where they don't have any extradition treaties with the United States. Apparently, France does. I used to think they didn't because of Roman Polanski, but they do. They signed one. So definitely not France. It would have to be. I mean, I guess he was going to try to go and hide somewhere, you know, but it's hard to hide. It's hard to hide. I remember when I went overseas, I stuck out like a sore thumb. I couldn't hide because I had locks at the time. And I stood out because I got stared at a lot. You said hide in the resistance. Yeah, it's like I said, it was hard for me I couldn't hide. People was wanting to touch my hair and everything because my hair was like Damian Marley's. My locks was down to my knees. So people were like, I stood out. And then I really stood out when I wore my tam. When I, put all that hair in that hat. I had a big hat. So the hat was huge. So I stood out. And then I always used to get double checked at TSA. Always used to get double checked. I remember when I was in Atlanta, they said, "Oh, you go in this lane." Because I remember that one time when I was in Atlanta. That's the same. Let me see. It was this basketball player named Damon Stoudemire. He had just got locked up before I hit the TSA. They had just took him away, and I guess they thought I was with him. And they was like, "Yeah, you don't have no drugs on you, do you?" They said that to me. They didn't even say hello to me. They said, "Well, we need you in this line. We need to wand your hair." And they put their hands all in my hair. I was pissed. They were checking for drugs. And then somebody said, they just took away Damon Stoudemire. I said, "Did they?" He was like, "Yeah." I believe he was playing with the Blazers at the time. But Portland, Yeah, I remember that. That was in the airport. And I was like, man, what do I mean, I had on a sweatsuit, a Nike sweatsuit, and I had my bag and, my carry-on. That was it. They still checked me, checked my bags, everything. I had to take my shoes off, took my socks off, everything. They were looking for weed. They sure was. I almost missed my damn plane. I said, my plane. They said, "Don't worry about it. You'll make your plane." I said, "All right." Because I had, in Atlanta, you got to get the train and stuff. I'm like, man, I'm going to miss everything. But I made it. But, yeah, I stood out. So when I went overseas, I really stood out. I could not go nowhere without people like pointing and wanting to touch my hair. Yep. And I don't like when people touch it. And I want your energy on my hair. So I was like, "No, you ain't touching my hair." But people just bold and touch it anyway. So. And so I remember that was my first time. No, that was my third time going overseas because I had went to Brazil too. So in Brazil, they weren't tripping though. In Brazil, nobody was tripping on my hair because other people had hair like it out there too. So they weren't tripping on me out there. And my hair wasn't as long. But yeah, they had mad people, out there that had locks and stuff, and especially in Salvador Bahia. That's like little Africa. They weren't tripping. They just said I couldn't speak the language. I wish I could have speak the language, man. Lord have mercy. Oh, I wish I could speak the language. If I could speak fluently, I'll move there. But I don't know about movement. I'll stay for a longer time. That's what I would do. But luckily, I had met people that spoke the language, and I had a good time. But when I went out in Asia, man, they was staring at me, man, touching my hair like never seen it before. Now I don't think they trip as much no more. They're used to it. They don't trip as much because a lot of them have locks, believe it or not. They be doing their hair, especially in Japan. They go through this process to mat their hair up so they can have braids and stuff. So they adopted our culture. That, yeah, I had locks, right? I sure did. I was a lock general, man. But yeah. So yeah, I was like that. But it's hard. What I'm saying is it's hard for Durk to hide over there. Look at his hair. He would have to cut his hair. But some fans would have recognized him. They would have recognized him. So he would have had to cut his hair. He would have had to wear shades and a hat. He would have to do a lot of things. He probably could have blended in. He would have just had to cover up. But he would have had to live the rest of his life like that. He would have had to hide his money. He would have had to go through that process and, making sure he got some money somewhere And maybe he could have lasted for a while, but eventually he would have got caught. He's not going to want to sit in one place. So, not with technology the way it is. Back in the 80s, yeah, he could have blended in. But now, no. Too many cell phones and stuff out here. They put that food in because they helping him out. You know, he's helping them out. So yeah, they're gonna feed him. You said I don't speak the language of Freemasonry either. You don't speak the language of Freemasonry. But yeah, it's nowhere for Durk to hide. I mean, he had to go to Bali, and then he wouldn't have to hide. He would still have to be low key, you know, because people recognize him. But he could have just lived there. He had to live there for the rest of his life, though. And I don't think he would want to do that. But they don't think they're going to get caught, Abraham. He's so caught up in the whole lifestyle, you know, okay, King Vaughn is gone, so we got to avenge King Vaughn's death. Are we going to look soft? You know what I'm saying? We going to look soft. So we got to uphold the image of OTF. You know, we ain't to be messed with. So we going to have to get some get back. I don't give a damn if it's broad daylight at the Beverly Center. You gonna catch it. That's what they did right across from the Beverly Center. Broad daylight. He gotta go. And they still didn't get they got Quando's cousin, but not him. They got some hell of a names. Little Durk, OTF Jam, Quando Rondo, Rondo number 9. You remember Rondo number 9? And he doing like a lot of years. Rondo number 9. He was the one that had the rocket launcher in a Instagram post. Had a whole real rocket launcher. He's going to get messed with in the slammer. He's going to have to lift mad weights. He's going to have to be brolic. But they all got to uphold that image. I remember that's how academics got started. He got started covering them. He kind of like made it into something like, oh, they called it scoring. They had a scoring system. Okay, they're up on the score points because they killed somebody, so they back up on the score point. That's how they used to do it. It was crazy. I still remember what the YouTuber Zach got killed. I remember that. That was crazy. So, yeah, they used to have a scorecard, and then they used to call it smoking on packs. Like after you die, like their enemy die, they're smoking on his name, smoking a pack. It's crazy, man. One of the first people that I really know that he probably wasn't the creator, but he was the first one I knew of was Chief Keef. I mean, he had that famous video in that house with all the people in the house. That's when I first started listening, saying, "What the hell is this?" It was through Chief Keef. I don't even want to be around that situation, man. It's just it's evil. It's spread all over the country. It's just that these people crazy out here, man. Wanting to be hitmen, and they just look evil. I mean, I don't even want to get into it. I just stay away from it, man. I remember I went past this club, and it was a whole mistake because they were all in the street. It was like a video shoot going on. The girls like shaking their ass, and they were trying not to let me by. They looking at me like I'm crazy. And this dude threw up a sign at me, and I went ahead because I got a car holster for my Sasha. I said, okay. I freaking lifted. I mean, I unsnapped it just in case. He didn't see it, but I'm like, I don't trust these people here. He's all in for the yeah, and doing his little gang sign, and I'm like, what the fuck? Now, what y'all doing? He said, I'm a god. Uh-oh. James said he's a god. You god body? What's today's math? If you God, then what's today's math? Let's see if he know. You God body or what? You saying you God? So what's today's math, God? What's today's math, man? You say you don't speak the language of Freemasonry, but you said I am God. You say you're not a 5%er. So what are you? You said I am God. Like what? Like what does that mean? I'm trying to figure out now because I'm hearing you now. I'm reading what you're saying now. What do you tell us? What you are? You don't speak the language of What's the language of Freemasonry? You say gods have eternal life. Oh shit! Here we go. All right. Gods have eternal. All right. So what language do you speak then? If you don't speak the language of Freemasonry, what's the language of Freemasonry? You got to lace us up here. Lace us up with some game, man. You said any plans on returning to riding with Max videos with the coffee? Oh man, you remember them videos? I used to ride around with the coffee. You said ask him what's the science. No, he ain't into all that, boy. He not into that. He said he's a god. He has eternal life. But I want to know what is Freemasonry language, because we just sitting up here kicking it, talking about Durk'S case. And he just said, he made it be known. He's like, I don't speak the language of Freemasonry. And then Anudami was trying to like see what time it was with him too. So I want to know, like, what's the language? You like what is that language? You gotta lace us up, man. You said that's the moon. He stopped typing. You said that's the illusion. On the post, and he said they wore a wire named Marlon Jam. Name is Casey, and that pics of him eating McDonald's is fake. Oh, the picture eating him McDonald's. I don't know. Is it fake? I don't think it's fake. They did a hell of a Photoshop then. I see the shadows and everything. But it could be. OTF, and then somebody came on and said, no, OTF Jam wouldn't snitch. He's official. You said that's some amateur Photoshop. Let me look at this. Let me look at it in Photoshop again. Let me see. I thought it was funny though, with the McDonald's. They could have changed this. Let me see. Let me study this again. They could be. OTF Jam. That's what I'm saying. Damn, he talking. Think OTF Jam. All right. Let me zoom in. Let's see. It don't look fake. It don't. I'm looking at it. The shadows and everything is perfect. Unless they merged the photos, and I can't tell if they did. The shadows and everything is good. The color and everything is good. I can't tell. And there's something in his hand, and I can't, his right hand. There's actually, if you zoom in, there's something in his hand, like a tissue or something. If it's fake, they got it right though, because I'm looking at, they could have put his face on another body. I don't think so. It's too perfect. You said he is cut out of a different pic. What interrogation room is that close up? They have monitors in there. You say he got salt. Yeah, he got sauce and everything. It happens. They do get you food if you helping them out. If you getting ready to give them some good information, they'll give you some food. They took one of the shooters to Burger King one time. I think that shooter that shot up that church that time, they took him to go get something to eat before he went to jail. You said Jan will be on IG soon. Bribery is a thing. They'll get him some Burger King. But we will have to, the jury is out on that picture. We'll just say that. The jury is out. But damn, that looks funny. It looked hella funny. That's why I shared it. It looked hella funny, man, with the Burger King, the McDonald's. And I got sick off that McDonald's. I'll never eat it again. Never again. I learned my lesson. Yeah, I learned my lesson off that McDonald's. You said, yeah, it definitely is a meme. So whoever did that, they did it perfectly. Whoever did a Photoshop, it was really good because they got the shadow and everything right. You said McDonald's is only good for drinks and dessert. I don't even think no more. I'm telling you, I won't eat nothing from there no more. When last time you went to like a drive-thru? Look at the people in there. They don't care about you. They just don't look like they care. I remember I went to Popeyes around here, right? It didn't even taste like Popeyes. I had to throw it away. It wasn't cooked right. It was crazy. And the people in there serving it, they don't know what they're doing. Nothing is the same no more. Yeah, I can't eat the chicken Big Mac. Can't do it. But I know that McDonald's overseas, it tastes different. You don't get the preservatives in it. It tastes really good with no preservatives added in it. It's fresh too. You said Whoppers are better than Big Mac. I know you ever seen how much they cost though? Fuck. Like, damn, like, why it cost so much for a number one? It costs too much. I'd rather just go make my burger at this point. And then the Burger King around here, their customer service is horrible. And I remember I ordered from there, right? When I was halfway up the street, I checked my bag. I didn't have the burger in it. I ordered number one, they just gave me fries, yo. I didn't even check the bag. You said, Max, isn't that what you call Nature Boy the illusion? No, what do you call it? I forget what I had his nickname. And what did Umar do, Medea? Oh, I call him the duality. Yeah, the duality. Remember he was on that phone conversation? It may be Nature Boy, or it may not be. But yeah, his thing is slate white clean, man. He don't have no more YouTube page. It's been everything white clean. You said 2 Whopper Juniors for $5. Yeah, but the Burger King over here, man, it's just, they horrible, man. They horrible. And I went back and said, hey, you forgot my burger. And the guy at the window said, that is impossible. That is impossible. I said, you forgot to put the burger in here. I'm not trying to finesse you over no burger. I said, you forgot to put it in the bag. I just didn't check it. When you gave me the bag, I just put it right there on the seat and kept driving. I said, I'm not trying to finesse you over no burger, man. It's impossible. That is impossible. No, it's not impossible. And then the manager she said, well, I just got on my shift. So you mean to tell me we forgot to give you your burger? I said, ma'am, come on, man. I said, ma'am, I'm a grown-ass man, yo. I'm not sitting up here trying to play with y'all, man. I got other stuff better to do but sit up here and try to finesse y'all out of another burger, man. I said, here's my receipt. Right here. And then I had to go through all that red tape, and then I finally got the burger. I'm like, damn, man. Like, I don't want to go there no more. I can't eat the Impossible Burger. People are getting sick off that. Can't eat that. Oh, that might have been him, Medea. That might have been him. That might have been the duality in here. Where is he? Yeah, it might be him. It might be. You say you believe in standing on your square. You sure are putting it down. It might be him. What's up, James? It might be. Let me see his symbol. Yeah, Medea, he's everywhere. That might be the duality. Shout out to the duality, man. But you said I have bad luck with. I do. Yep, I do. I have a good one, boy. But yeah, yeah, man. So that's good old Lil Durk. So we'll see how his defense set this case up. But if that man was wearing a wire, then it's all bad. If that picture is true, that's really bad. They gave him something to eat during his interrogation. Oh yeah, you saying that, Medea? I know he might be him. It might be him. He didn't address you yet though. But yeah, it might be him. He might be in here. You know, chilling and whatnot. If that's him, shout out to him. Hold your head. Uh-oh. Do y'all think that the picture is AI? What gives? It sounded like a Medea. It is. It's even sounding. I mean, no, I don't think it's AI. No, I think it's real. Oh, have seen interrogations where they offer you a cigarette. I have seen that. Yeah. I remember Dog the Bounty Hunter, after he catch you and rough you up a little bit. Hey, you want a cigarette? You like a cigarette? And then he'd be nice to you after he caught you. Now he being nice. He's like, okay, I'm going to get you out. We're going to figure it out, okay? I'm going to figure out what we can do. After he done ran you down. Like, he said, no, look at the dripping sauce in that picture. No, it's not AI. I zoomed in on it, so it don't look like it. He really did have something to eat in that interrogation. I know his people trying to say it's fake because they don't want to believe it. You said a lot of gangbusters snitch if they feel insecure about their lives. Where are you from, James? Medea, what's up with the ladies, though? They all right? Have you heard from them? I miss them on line. I do. They probably just, they not even online no more. I had a dream I ran into one of them. You said bottom line, it's all crazy. Yeah, this whole case is messed up. Little Durk. Oh, okay, Salver, okay. Anyway, guys, let me roll on out of here. If anything else come up with Lil Durk, I'll be back. And whatever other case, I didn't follow that suitcase murder case. I heard she got convicted. I didn't really get a chance to follow it. I'm gonna have to go back and look at it. You think the big indictment is coming, to superseding indictment? Yeah, that'll be big. To see what's in it, then go over that. That might be a lot of documents, though. We'll see if it comes. Then he has he waiting on his next bail hearing. He's trying to work on that. You said they are doing just fine. They don't be online no more, do they? That's good. They're doing all right. Oh, they posting on Facebook now? Okay, I have to go over there and check. Because I follow them on there, I believe. I'm going to have to check over there. All right, guys. I will catch you on the next one. Thanks for coming in. If any other updates come